The night sky over Gaza was heavy with silence. Not the peace of sleep, but the silence of fear. Streets once filled with laughter and children's games stood in ruin, rubble glowing faintly under a tired moon. Parents clutched their little ones close. The world felt like it had stopped listening. But above that broken skyline, a red and blue figure moved like a whispered promise. Through the smoke, a shadow of resilience, a streak of hope. Spider-Man. He had always thought of himself as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. A boy from Queens who saved buses from tipping, cats from falling trees, and neighbors from petty thieves. But tonight, the neighborhood wasn't Queens. Tonight, it was Gaza. From a shattered rooftop, Spider-Man crouched, his lenses glowing faintly, taking in the devastation below. His voice, quiet under the mask, carried the weight of truth. No one should feel this alone. Not the parents. And with that vow, his chest tightened, not from the rubble's dust, but from the humanity buried beneath it. This wasn't another fight with villains in costumes. This was life itself on the line. Spider-Man swung low, scanning the streets. He heard it before he saw it, the muffled sobs of children. Following the sound, he reached a collapsed school building, where faint cries echoed from beneath heavy slabs of concrete. Little voices called out, "Help! We're here!" Spider-Man crouched quickly, pushing his ear to fractured stone. His instincts burned. "Hang on, kids. I hear you." His webs fired, reinforcing crumbling beams. His suit strained as he pulled, muscles screaming under the impossible weight. One by one, slabs of concrete shifted, shafts of moonlight piercing through. There! Is anyone okay?" he called. From the gap, a child's dirt-streaked hand reached out. Spider-Man grinned faintly beneath his mask, his voice soft. "Hey, it's okay. You're safe now." He pulled them free, two small brothers, coughing and covered in dust. Their eyes widened at the sight of him. "You're Spider-Man?" one whispered. "The one and only," he said gently, brushing dust from their hair, his tone playful yet full of comfort. "And right now, your friendly neighborhood got a little bigger." He guided them to safety, then swung back toward the rubble. Other voices remained. One by one, he brought them out, his webs serving not as weapons, but as lifelines to pull frightened children free from the dark. By the time dawn painted the ruins pale gold, Spider-Man had carried 14 children out of the collapsed school. Parents cried. Children clung to his suit. For a brief moment, in a place where despair felt endless, laughter returned in whispers, and Spider-Man realized something. Hope is contagious, but hope came with pain. As he sat atop a battered rooftop, Spider-Man pulled his mask half up, gulping down air, his body trembling from exhaustion. His eyes stung, not from dust, but tears of helplessness. Around him, so many were still lost, hidden, unheard. The more he helped, the more he realized how much remained broken. His voice cracked, alone with the night. I can't fix all of this. I'm just one person. How do I fight a fight against suffering itself? For a moment, Peter Parker felt small again. The boy who lost Uncle Ben, who knew too well what absence does to a child's heart. The faces of those he carried replayed in his mind, heavy in his chest. But then, laughter drifted from the distance. The very children he had carried now huddled safely, sharing bread, whispering Spidey's name with wonder. And for the first time in days, he smiled faintly. Maybe I'm not here to fix everything. Maybe I'm just here so they remember they're not alone. The morning light over Gaza was thin and cracked, like glass holding back a storm. Spider-Man stood atop the remains of a market roof, his body sore, his head heavy. He had pulled children out of rubble all night, but his spider sense wouldn't stop buzzing. Something worse was coming. And then the sound hit. A deep rumble that shook the cityscape. A fuel depot at the edge of town had collapsed, triggering fires that raced unchecked through fragile homes stacked clumsily on narrow streets. Flames licked upward into the gray sky. Screams pierced the smoke as families scattered, the fire spreading toward another school where dozens of children had gathered. Spider-Man's chest pounded. No, no, no. He swung into the chaos, descending into the blaze. His webs caught burning beams, yanking them clear of narrowing alleys. Smoke poured across his lenses. The air scorched his lungs. Children clung to each other outside the school's gate as the fire advanced, terrified eyes all fixed on him. Their small voices rose together. Please, Spider-Man, please, don't let the fire take our home. Peter froze. There weren't enough seconds. His webs could restrain the blaze for minutes, but not stop it completely. His strength could pull beams, but not rebuild walls. For the first time, the friendly neighborhood hero faced something bigger than any single villain. The raw, unrelenting force of destruction. Think, Peter, think, he roared. His spider sense screamed again, this time pointing him upward. A water tower loomed over the rooftops, trembling from heat. In one leap, shoo, Spider-Man swung to it, braced himself, and shoved with every ounce of muscle he had. The steel legs buckled. The tower groaned. And then, boom! A rush of water cascaded down, slamming into the blaze with a hiss that drowned out screams. Steam blanketed the street. The wall of fire shrieked, fought, then finally choked into embers. Spider-Man collapsed to his knees in the mud, the suit scorched, his breaths ragged. The fire was gone. The children were safe. Cheers erupted, tiny, high-pitched voices of children crying and clapping, running to him through the ash. "You did it!" a young girl cried, hugging his arm tightly. "Spider-Man, you're a hero!" shouted another boy, his dusty face glowing with a smile. Peter Parker, tears hidden under his mask, whispered only to himself, "I almost gave up." But they believed first, before I did. That night, Spider-Man sat beside the children in a relief shelter, where volunteers handed out bread, blankets, and lanterns for warmth. Kids huddled around him, too young to know what superheroes usually meant to the world at large. To them, this one man in a mask wasn't comics or headlines. He was hope. A little boy tugged at his sleeve. "Spider-Man, are you gonna leave? Heroes always leave." The words cut deeper than knives. Peter thought about the Avengers, about Tony, about gods who arrive and vanish like passing storms. He sighed softly and patted the boy's head. "I don't know how long I'll stay, but while I am here, I'll never let you feel forgotten." The children's eyes widened at that. Some hugged him. Some simply fell asleep at his side, safe under the sense that Spider-Man's watchful eyes would keep the night at bay. And Peter Parker realized something that shocked him. For once, his presence wasn't about victory against some masked villain. It wasn't about proving anything to newspapers or governments. It was about giving back the one thing people thought they had lost: belief that tomorrow was still worth reaching for. Days passed. Every night, Spider-Man patrolled streets filled with smoke and fear, pulling families from crumbled buildings, calming panicked crowds, holding beams back until rescue volunteers arrived. But he wasn't doing it alone anymore. The same children he had saved followed his example. With makeshift buckets, they carried water from wells to fires. With bare hands, they dug into ruins to pull free trapped neighbors. And everywhere, above every act, their voices whispered Spider-Man's name like a chant of courage. Watching them, Peter murmured beneath his mask, "This is what being a hero really is." It's not the mask, it's the choice, even when you're scared. For the first time in years, his heart felt light amid devastation, because now he wasn't carrying the weight alone. The nights blurred into each other. Spider-Man no longer counted how many times he had leapt into smoke, pulled beams of cracked cement off trapped families, or stitched temporary bridges of webbing across broken alleys. His body ached beyond measure. Sleep came in fits, every bone humming with fatigue. Still, his spider sense never rested. Each time he closed his eyes, he heard another cry, another faint scream, another small voice calling, "Spider-Man, help!" On the fourth night, he stumbled into the relief shelter, barely able to stand. His mask was scorched at the edges, caked in dust. He collapsed against the wall, sliding to the floor. For once, Spider-Man, the superhero who never stops, looked like just a broken young man. The room quieted. Dozens of children stared. For the first time, they saw their rescuer not as untouchable, but as human, hurt and worn. A little girl, no more than 8, walked forward. She placed a piece of bread in his gloved hands, whispering, "Even heroes need to eat." Spider-Man's breath caught. His hand trembled as he accepted it. Her eyes shone with innocence, but also with strength. In that moment, he realized these children didn't just see him as their savior. They saw him as one of them. By dawn, Spider-Man gathered the children and families in the courtyard of a broken community center. He stood on the roof of a cracked wall, his figure framed by the first orange light of day. Removing his mask halfway, he let them see his eyes, red from exhaustion, but filled with determination. "I'm not special because of webs," he spoke, his voice carrying across the silent courtyard. "I'm not strong because I can swing across city blocks. I'm strong because I choose not to give up. And so are you," he pointed to the children. "When you carried water to fires, you were heroes. When you gave bread to someone hungrier, you were heroes. When you held each other in the fear of night and refused to let go, that is being a hero." The people listened, some with tears, some nodding firmly. "Your strength isn't just in what I can do," Spider-Man continued softly. "It's in what you will keep doing. Heroes don't wear masks. Heroes make choices, even in rubble, even in fear." The children erupted in small applause, some repeating his words, voices ringing with courage. One boy stood tall, shouting, "We are heroes too." Spider-Man felt his chest swell with something purer than victory. Hope wasn't just alive, it was multiplying. That evening, Spider-Man sat on a rooftop, overlooking the city. Stars dotted the haze above. He pulled off his mask completely, letting the cool breeze hit his tired face. Peter Parker whispered into the night, "I can't stay forever, but maybe they don't need me to. Maybe they just needed to remember that they're not invisible." His wrist communicator buzzed faintly, calls from abroad waiting for him back in New York. He smiled faintly. "Queens will always be my neighborhood. But now, so is Gaza." He slid the mask back over his face, crouched low on the edge, and looked down at the shelter courtyard one more time. The children below waved up at him, chanting his name, faces glowing with hope. In the shadows, he whispered a promise. "I'll never forget you." Then, with one final flip, Spider-Man swung into the night sky, the children's voices echoing after him. Voice-over narration drifted as the camera would pull back over the broken but breathing city. Sometimes, being a hero isn't about saving the whole world. Sometimes, it's about saving one child, in one night, in one place. It's about showing the forgotten that they are remembered. The children of Gaza didn't just see a superhero. They saw proof that kindness stands taller than destruction, and courage can bloom even where rubble falls. That's what being Spider-Man means. Not just strength, but hope. And in giving hope, you become the hero the world truly needs. So if you feel powerless, remember, you don't need webs to be Spider-Man. You only need compassion, courage, and the decision to stand for someone who feels forgotten. That choice alone can make you a hero.